Welcome to Football Discussion Daily. My name is Joe, and I'm here with the co-host,
Yo,
CGO, or George. We're releasing this on the 8th of June, 2026. Quick reminder, please like and subscribe as we release every single day. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, other platforms. Today, we are discussing Christian Eriksen. Unfortunately, had another incident on the field. We'll talk through that. He collapsed, but this time, like 5 years ago, he collapsed in summer 2021 at Euro 2020. And he left football, I believe, for 7 months, and then came back to the greatest club in the world, Brentford, in January 2022, and has had a fairly decent career at Brentford and Man United. He today also collapsed again. He walked off the field on his own accord, and they canceled the game again today. So that's unfortunate. We're also talking World Cup Group J. That is Algeria, Austria, Jordan, and Argentina. And again, Argentina is defending champions. George and I will talk through that. George, really quickly, Christian Eriksen. This is very unfortunate. Again, Denmark, I don't believe is in the World Cup. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is just a friendly. They were playing against another team,
against Ukraine.
Ukraine. And yeah, he collapsed again. He's on the older side, 35. There was calls for him to retire the first time. There's certainly calls today for him to retire. Without knowing his medical situation, it's hard outside looking in. Thoughts and prayers out to their family. George, do you have any comments?
Honestly, it's unfortunate what happened to Christian Eriksen. This guy has really given so much to football. He's one player I respect a lot as a midfielder. I think Christian Eriksen is one of the very good midfielders we have when you talk about football. I remember his time at Tottenham, and then he moved to, is it Inter Milan or so? And
Inter Milan.
then, yeah, and then I remember at some point he joined Brentford after the issue of the heart attack he had, but thank God I came out of it. And then from Brentford, he was able to play for Manchester United, and then he's playing for Wolfsburg. I think he has done so much. He has really contributed so much to the game of football. What has happened today in the game against Ukraine, where he had to collapse again, and then the game had to stop. I think in the 79th minute of the game, they were leading 2-1, but the game had to stop. What it shows is that probably his body cannot take it anymore. It's a sign that it's time to call it quits. I think for his own health and for him to live longer, I think that would be the best step to take. I'm hoping
Yeah,
that he gets fine and gets better.
George, we don't know the particular medical condition, what caused it 5 years ago, what caused it today. I do think that he's working closely with doctors who know a lot more than us. And I think that 34 is very different than 29. And thanks for sharing. Let's move on to also the Real Madrid elections were today. Florentino Perez won a lot closer than his previous ones, but a lot of his previous elections have been 80 to 90%. He got between 60 and 65% of the vote today. The other guy was making all sorts of claims that he was going to get Jurgen Klopp and Erling Haaland. Real Madrid has gone 2 trophyless seasons for the first time in a long time. And so Florentino Perez, a lot of pressure on him to deliver. And, George, I think this is unfortunate for Real Madrid because I think they're worse than Barcelona next season. And I do feel like it's of their own doing. It's unfortunate. What do you think, George, of Real Madrid's future?
What it shows is that somehow some Real Madrid fans are beginning to lose faith in him because before now he normally wins with a landslide victory. But now this is a sign that he has to sit up. It's a wake up call for him because it doesn't make sense that a big club like Real Madrid will go trophyless for 2 seasons. That is unacceptable. I think this is an opportunity for him to make amends. I think one of the things that have helped him to win this was based on his past achievements as the president of the club. He has really done well in the past. I think this is one of his worst moments as the president of Real Madrid. So this should be a wake-up call for him. Hopefully, with the the signing of Jose Mourinho, hopefully things will change. And it seems they are taking the transfer market very serious this time, trying to strengthen those areas where they need to improve on. So I think things will most likely change with Real Madrid this time around because people are becoming very critical, especially their
We'll see.
fans
Like I
of
said,
things.
I mean, Xabi Alonso told them when he signed, you need a midfielder that does X, Y, and Z. It doesn't need to be the best midfielder in the world. He just needs to be able to control the match. And again, they haven't done it. There's no rumors about them signing somebody. There's a lot of those guys out there. There is Alexis McAllister fits the profile. There, I've seen rumors. I don't know how confirmed they are. He had a poor season at Liverpool. He's too young. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe it won't. But I've seen whispers of rumors. I don't even say there's any strong things there. That is a a transfer I could see. It makes sense for both sides. Um, let's move on, George. The World Cup Group J. We only have a couple more groups. This might be pretty cool. We have Algeria, Austria, Jordan, and Argentina, the defending champions. This is Jordan's first tournament. Both Algeria and Austria have had a couple. Um, Austria. Let's start with Austria, George. These guys, almost all of them play around Europe. Premier
Yeah.
League, Germany, Austria, a couple around France, things like that. None of these guys are absolute superstars, though. They have had some great players in the past. I'd argue none right now. David Alaba is one of their best players. They've had a couple other superstars in the past, but I'd say none right now. But nobody on this team is a weak link. Some of these sides or an unknown. Like these guys have been playing in Europe. They're all in big leagues. This team in the past, I've watched them play. They're always decently solid. I feel like in this group, George, Argentina's a clear first, Jordan's a clear second, and then Austria and Algeria, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Do you think that's an accurate assessment?
For me, I feel this Austrian team, since Ralf Ragnick, who was, I think he was an interim manager at Manchester United before he joined Austria. Since he got in, took charge of the team, I think a lot has really changed about the team. They have good players, but you can't say Austrian team is a star-studded team like the French team, like Argentina. No, they are not in that level, but they have good players that can really help the team to compete well at this World Cup. Now, Austria will be making their eighth appearance at the World Cup this time around. The last time they were at the World Cup was 1998, so that was 28 years ago. So credit must go to the coach for qualifying them after missing out for 28 years at the World Cup. So it's a good one for them. They have a good history, even though they have never won the World Cup. I think the best they achieved at the World Cup was in 1954. I think they finished third in that competition. So that's the best they've ever had. But if you look at the new era, they've not really been that good when you look at it. They have players like David Alaba, like you mentioned, who plays for Real Madrid. We all know he's a good defender. He has that quality when it comes to ball distribution. So I think they'll be banking on him to help them when it comes to this competition. Then they have a guy who plays for Borussia Dortmund. At some point, he also played for Manchester United and then went back to, I think he was playing for RB Leipzig, and then he joined Manchester United and then went and joined Borussia Dortmund. His name is Marcel Sabitzer. That's a very good midfielder. I think one thing I love about him is his level of awareness,
Yeah,
and then he's a very creative box-to-box midfielder
and I
who
think I know, like you said, George. I mean, he's good. I don't know how these guys are. The names we just said, Sabitzer and Alaba. I think their best days are behind them. Ralph Ragnick probably is the highest pedigree, one of the higher pedigrees of any coach at this tournament. But he has not been that successful in Europe. I'm not sure if he's won how many trophies he's won, given the level of clubs he's been at. Of course, he was at Manchester United. Most recently, he was at RB Leipzig. Before that, he's coached in Germany for a long time. He has not won that many trophies in his career, despite being a manager for 30 years.
yes, yes.
And so I've never been impressed with him. I've seen him talk, and I just, he, I just remember when he came into Manchester United, how he was talking about his interim role. He just never impressed me as an individual, despite his um, pedigree. So we'll see how that turns out. George, let's move on to Team Jordan. This is a bunch of unknowns. Most of these guys play in Middle East or Jordanian League. I was looking at their roster. There's one guy who plays in France.
Yes, yes.
And he has several appearances, but I had never heard of the guy. And so I think this is an opportunity for them to make a name for themselves. Maybe get some of them will perform well and get transfers in Europe. Eyes on them in Europe. We've seen a couple. We've talked about a lot of other unknowns. George, this is their first ever World Cup. Is there
Exactly.
anything that you know about Jordan that you think that fans should look out for?
Yes, Jordan, they call them the Al Nashama. That's the nickname of the team. The closest they've ever come to qualifying for the World Cup was in 2014. After they've knocked out Uzbekistan, they were meant to play an intercontinental playoff against Uruguay. And the Uruguay team of that time had the likes of Luis Suarez, Edison Cavani. So when they played the first leg in Amman in Jordan, Uruguay defeated them 5-0 in the first leg. Second leg ended 0-0 at Montevideo. But when you look at the aggregate, that made them out. So that was the closest they've ever come when it comes to qualifying for the World Cup. Now they've qualified for the World Cup, courtesy of their coach, who happens to be a Moroccan. The guy's name is Jamal Salami. The guy has really turned, I think he has transformed the national team, qualifying for this competition. I think the last game they played that secured them the ticket was a 3-0 victory against Oman. And
This is a team, George, that like they probably wouldn't have qualified. It was 32 teams, and they're really benefiting from that. Again, we said this.
yes,
I've said this before. It will lead to worse football. The point of the World Cup is not to have just this elite, only the elite of the elite. The point of the world football is unity. It's get allowing more teams to participate, like USA participating in 1990, 1994. The fever there is one of the reasons I'm passionate about football. When I was a small child, I'd love to see Jordanian children, and it's a way to connect with people all around the world, for fans to connect, for players to connect, and it's beautiful. But objectively, if you're trying to do the best quality soccer tournament, you're 32 teams is a good amount, or 16. The smaller, the higher quality, and Jordan would not have qualified.
yes.
And George, I do think that some of these teams that are in that last 16, one or two might make some noise, but I do feel like there's going to be more drubbing, like 3-4 nothing games in this tournament. Jordan is a candidate in my head for this team could get beat that bad.
Like you rightly said, I think for me, I would have been more comfortable with the 32 teams because that would have been more competitive and more
So
exciting compared to
1998 is the first World Cup I remember. So I only remember, like, I was 6 in 1994. I don't remember it. Uh, yeah, I was 10 in 1998. I remember that World Cup, and like, so I've only known 32 team World Cups. I do know 1994 was 24 teams. So yeah, it's there's kids who are 10 right now. This will be the first World Cup they remember, and they'll be like, oh, I only remember it at 48 teams. So it's just a fun thing. It's just a natural order of things. And again, it does increase the world's ability just to come together for 6 weeks.
yes, I think because now you having 48 teams, it increases the amount of games that will be played, and I don't know if that is really healthy for the footballers because what it means is that any team that gets to the final will play more games than when it was 32 in numbers. So we've been complaining, as players have already been complaining that they are playing too many league games, playing too many competitions, and things like this only make it worse for footballers. So I think what FIFA is trying to do is they just try to accommodate more teams, especially teams like Jordan, because if you don't have this 48, probably a team like Jordan uh, wouldn't make it to this
Yeah,
competition.
yeah.
So
George,
I guess
let,
that's
let,
why.
yeah, yeah. Now let's talk about Algeria. And so they again, they've qualified for the tournament a couple times. They made the knockouts last time. They were knocked out, I think, by Germany. No, I mean they made the knockouts last time they appeared, which was 2014. They got knocked out by Germany, who were the eventual
Yes,
champions that time. 2010, USA had to beat Algeria with the last second goal to move on to the next round in 2010, and then US lost to Ghana that time. They've had some great players over the past. Zidane's son is on this team, Zinedine Zidane. I don't know if he was born in
yes,
Algeria. His parents are
yes.
Algerian, the legend. And they have Riyad Mahrez, who was an exceptional Premier League player for 8 years. They have Ryan Aït-Nouri, who is on the Manchester City roster, but not a starter. So there's some quality there. A lot of players in France, a lot of players in Algeria. Do you think this team, George, can make some noise? Do you feel like they are better than Austria from a roster perspective?
Well, I think it's going to be very tight for them playing against Austria, because by the time I'll be giving you my prediction of how they'll finish, I think the Austrian team have a little cutting edge over them. I'll be surprised if they're able to finish ahead of Austria in this group. Algeria, I think this will be their fifth appearance at this at World Cup, and I think their best finish was in 2014. I think they had a very good outing then. Even the round of 16 game they lost to Germany, it was a very highly contested game. It took an extra time goal for Germany to knock them out of that competition. And you can imagine Germany won the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. So it tells you how good the Algerian team were in that competition. So since then, we haven't really seen much from the Algerian side, apart from I think that was 1982 when they played the competition. This is a very interesting story about Algeria. They won two games in that competition, defeated West Germany 2-1 and also defeated Chile 2-2. But there was something that happened that made FIFA to change the rule regarding the last games, group games at the World Cup. And that was when they were eliminated because Germany were meant to play Austria in their last game and they just needed just a 1-0 victory in that match. Now, when Germany scored their goal and got the 1-0 victory in the 10th minute of the game, both Germany and Austria decided not to play again. They were just trying to see off the game just to ensure that both European teams were able to make it to the next round. So after that thing happened, FIFA had to make a change in rule,
Yeah.
and then they said final group games has to be played simultaneously. So that was
Yes.
how the issue of the final group games played simultaneously. That was how it came up.
Hey, that's
So
great, George.
this
George,
Algerian
let's move on. George, we only have a
okay.
couple minutes, so we got to finish with Argentina. Again, these guys are defending champions. They have this guy. I don't know if you heard of him. I think his name is Messi, something like that. He's had a decent career in Europe. He scored a couple goals here and there. They have a couple of other players, but he is. I googled him. He looks familiar. I think he plays in one of the smaller leagues right now. But again, just joking here. Obviously, they have one of the greatest players of all time. He is 39 years old, but he is still the finishing is still there. I think that for 90 minutes, Messi is still the best player in the world. I have questions on whether for 7 games in a row, game after game after game, his body can really compete. But I think I'm going to be. I think it can. I still think he is so far above everybody that he will do fantastically. And George, I think this team can still make noise. I think that they are fully capable of winning, and right up there. I think there's France and Spain are the favorites, and there's another mix right below them with 2 or 3 teams that Argentina's right in with, like England and Germany and Brazil. But George, I think this team can make some noise.
Of course, when you have a Lionel Messi, whether we like it or not, he's still like a centerpiece of this team, and he's the captain of the team. They also have players that can also make things happen. You have players like Julian Alvarez, who plays for Atletico Madrid. You have Lautaro Martinez. You have the likes of McAllister, Enzo Fernandez, Emiliano Martinez, who is their goalkeeper. They have a very young player who is called Nico Paz, who plays for Como. The guy is doing very well. He did so well in the last Italian Serie A for Como. So they have lots of players that can really make them go far in this competition. I can't take them out. Being the defending champion of this competition, definitely you have to pick them. At least you must take them as one of the favorites. They've won the World Cup 3 times, and they've only lost 3 finals. So such a team is not a team you should underestimate. And this is their 19th World Cup. So Argentina is a very big side, and they are the South American champion and the defending champion of this competition. So they are one of the favorites for this competition. Definitely, they will most likely finish top in this.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I don't think anybody's undercounting them. Certainly not Jordan. Certainly not Algeria. Certainly not um,
Austria.
Austria. They, I think they're, yeah, these are guys who are all professionals in this division. I think it's going to be really exciting. Let me close out with their standing questions. Number one, for 90 minutes, is Lionel Messi still the best player in the world? I think he is. George, yes or no? Do you think he is? One game. I'm not talking about 60 games, maybe Mbappe, maybe Pedri, but for one game, do you think Messi is
Well,
still the best in the world?
I won't say that again because if we are looking at maybe greatest of all time, then we can bring him into the
But
equation. For
right
now,
now,
no, right now I won't say he's the best in the world anymore.
all right, let's disagree. Number two, who do you think? Do you agree with George and I's assessment that it's going to be Argentina, Jordan, and then Austria, Algeria? Who's better, Austria or Algeria? And number three, which player outside of Messi, outside of Argentina, are you most excited to see in this bracket? Let us know your thoughts. Thank you for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.